Alright, what's going on, guys? I'm just making this video because it came across on my recommended, and there's been so much misinformation that's been going around. And to give some backstory, right? Recently the Olympics have put skateboarding as an official event, and there's people in the community saying that it shouldn't be involved because it really doesn't need validation, or it's a bad idea because of all this stuff happening, you know, yada yada. And this video kind of breaks it down to why it doesn't deserve to be in the Olympics. And there's so much wrong information that's being spread, and I just wanted to make this video just to debunk it, to say the least, because like I said, it's just a lot of people haven't agreed with it, you know. So let's get started with the whole thing.
When the topic of skateboarding in the Olympics first started being talked about a few years ago, there was a good bit of backlash from skateboarders who felt like it wasn't a good move for the skateboarding community. In this video, we're going to go over why skateboarding shouldn't be in the Olympics. To start things off, skateboarding doesn't need validation. I've heard a lot of skaters say that putting skateboarding in the Olympics is a good thing because it'll finally validate skateboarding and prove to people that it's a legitimate way to spend your time. Well, the problem that I have with that is that skateboarding doesn't really need mainstream approval just to be validated. Skateboarding was valid to skaters back when they were just skating backyard pools, and it's still valid to skaters now that they're skating international contests. If someone needs mainstream validation to keep skating, then they're probably skating for the wrong reasons to begin with.
Okay, I kind of agree with the last sentiment. That's true. Usually, like, the best way to get started with skateboarding as a hobby rather than making it like a full-time career, because it's one of those mediums that it takes a lot of skill. You got to get noticed and recognized by a lot of talent, and it's a very hard journey. But the rest of the statement he says is kind of not true, to say the least. Okay, yes, it doesn't need validation because it is validated to the skaters itself. He even mentioned about how it was underground, and then brought up events, which kind of sounds hypocritical, because if the whole thing was underground, to say the least, and they want to keep it underground, they should have just got rid of the events, got rid of sponsors, none of those Tony Hawk Pro Skater games and all that. All it should have been is just skateboarding and living your life. But skateboarding has evolved into something much bigger. And of course, it doesn't need validation from the skaters itself. But what it does need validation is from the outsiders, because skateboarding hasn't had a good history, to say the least. Like, I mentioned this in a other video talking about Tony Hawk, but skateboarding was on a huge decline, and a video game straight up made the whole thing relevant again. So having the thing in the Olympics will just boost its popularity to the outsiders. Like, let's use another example, right? Let's look at professional wrestling and amateur wrestling, right? Amateur wrestling is only played in colleges and high school, and it does have an Olympic event. And because it's an Olympic event, there's still validation to it, to outsiders and even to the peer athletes, because despite the fact that amateur wrestling is a much tougher sport and it's real compared to professional wrestling is much more lucrative and more relevant, to say the least. Amateur wrestling was never an Olympic event. That thing would have just been dead completely because there would be no relevance. Yeah, of course it's going to be validated to like high school and college like athletes, because it's like every sport, right? It's going to be validated to like the players itself. That's why they're competing in the first place. The whole point of having these events is to show the outsiders like who's the best and what they're made of. So
reason number 2 is that there's no clear winner in skateboarding. Well, except for Battle at the Barracks, that's pretty straightforward. If you look at almost any Olympic sport, it's pretty easy to figure out who won. Someone either ran the fastest, they jumped the highest, or they threw a ball the furthest. With skateboarding though, it's much more nuanced than that. There's already enough debate internally with skateboarders when it comes to contests like Street League, so I can only imagine what it's going to be like at an Olympic level.
So I get the idea that yes, skateboarding is a subjective sport and there is no clear winner, but at the same time, this isn't the only sport that does this. You can look at gymnastics, you can look at rhythmic gymnastics, you can look at diving, ice skating, one of its most popular sports. Ice skating is based on panel of judges. It's like trampoline, you know, like aquatic dance. All these events exist as a way to entertain people. Skateboarding isn't the clear thing. Of course, like, there's no clear way to determine who's the best, and that's the beauty of skateboarding. You look at guys like Roddy Mullen, and many people consider him to be the best because of how much he changed the sport. You know, you look at guys like Bob Burnquist, who placed so many medals in vertical skating. You can look at guys like Paul Rodriguez. You can look at guys like Eric Costin, Nigel Houston. You can bring up a list of so many skaters, and that's the beauty of it. It's like there's no clear thing. Everyone has their own tastes and what they like, and that's why it just invalidates the whole thing, because just saying that there's no clear winner doesn't make sense. You just might as well take out like a portion of the event because of that.
So the next reason is that Olympic skateboarding is actually run by rollerbladers. I know, crazy, right? Basically, every country has their own governing body for skateboarding that's usually run by people who skate. Those governing bodies then have to report to an organization run by rollerbladers that essentially acts as a middleman for the Olympics and each individual country. Now, some of you might think that it's not a big deal, but having rollerbladers in charge of skateboarding in the Olympics has already caused a ton of problems, which is pretty much to be expected since they have no idea how skateboarding works.
Okay, so there's a lot of wrong information in this part right here. So he did bring up World Skate, and it is the International Olympic Committee that originated as a rollerblading committee. But what he did not mention, as of 2017, they merged with the International Skateboarding Federation as the result of the skateboarding event being added to the 2020 Olympics. And because of that, they merged to further develop skateboarding for the Olympic scene, right? That's the whole point about the merger. Otherwise, they would just kept it rollerblading and that's it. So it's to help develop the whole scene and to further push it as a global sport, as a validated sport. And there's a lot of information. That's a lot of misinformation. Yes, okay, yeah, I get the idea that like, not like it's a different group of people. But here's the deal: they'll hire people that has a background in skateboarding to be judges, especially if they merge the two federations together. And that's like a major point that you missed out.
I don't want to go into too much detail on this, but I'll leave a link to a Transworld article in the description that kind of explains the whole thing a little better.
Actually, let's look at the thing right here. Let's look at the link, the Transworld article. Okay, so I'm reading the whole article, and the whole thing that's they brought up is the fact that their scheduling is very questionable, and the fact that they quote unquote have no experience, yet they never mentioned that they had made the merger in the first place. So they omitted the merger, and it's just a bunch of nitpicking and whining in this whole article. It's like, I wouldn't be surprised, because that's what journalists tend to do, is that they tend to like sugarcoat everything. So like I said, the whole thing's been debunked. It's just pointless. It's just a pointless rebuttal.
The next reason is that Olympic skating only helps out some skaters. One of the most common reasons skaters give as to why skateboarding should be in the Olympics is that it can help give professional skaters a decent salary. It's pretty well known that most professional skaters don't actually make that much money, and there's only a small group of pros who actually earn significant incomes from sponsors. Well, the problem with this is that the same pros who are currently making most of the money are going to be the same ones skating in the Olympics, so it's not like every pro skater is going to magically get a bigger paycheck.
That's what like paying the best players to skate is. Essentially, like, you see Usain Bolt, he makes a shit ton of money, and you want to know why? Because he runs really fast.
The next reason is that skate career shouldn't be all about the Olympics. With almost all sports that are already in the Olympics, the people competing are training year-round solely for the purpose of winning a medal. Well, they're also doing it so they can get millions of dollars from sponsors, but that kind of just comes as a side effect.
That pretty much debunked your last point. It's gonna make them even more richer. That's what happened with Usain Bolt. He's like one of the most profitable Olympic athletes. Look at Michael Phelps. He's also one of the most marketable athletes because of how good they are. That's why even sports like sprinting, running, and all that, they don't make that much money. It doesn't make a difference. Skateboarding is already huge. They're gonna make even more. It's gonna be much more lucrative for them. I don't even know why you brought that whole point up in the first place.
They might enter other contests and events along the way, but I can guarantee you that the people who throw those metal balls aren't out there filming street parts the same way that skateboarders are.
Okay, and what difference does that make? It's like you're looking at Olympic basketball. Why should they have that when the NBA exists? Why should they have Olympic soccer if FIFA exists? Why should they have Olympic hockey when NHL exists? That's just a stupid point. Yeah, not everyone's gonna care about the Olympics, but having a much bigger event showcase your sport and seeing people represent their countries, it shows a lot of pride in a lot of things, right? Yeah, of course, like a lot of sports are more popular in the Olympics, like I said, with sprinting, swimming, ice skating, beach volleyball, and all that. Even look at judo or karate. Not everyone who practices karate or judo do it to compete in the Olympics. Some of them just do it for fun or want to defend themselves. Like I said, it's all subjective. It doesn't matter. This is just a stupid nitpick.
But Olympic athletes are known for taking things too far, and that's something that skateboarding would be better off without. There's countless stories of people cheating in the Olympics.
And that's a very huge stretch because cheating happens in almost every sport. It's not just skateboarding. I mean, thank God that there isn't like cheating scandals in skateboarding, because it's very hard for you to cheat in skating, right? It's very hard. Taking away a high level event because you're scared of a bunch of cheaters gonna quote unquote ruin the sport says a lot about you, right? It's like, might as well get rid of baseball because that had a major cheating scandal. Might as well get rid of the NFL because that had major cheating scandals. NBA, we can list off every sport. Like, it don't matter if people cheat. I mean, yes, it does matter when people cheat, but just saying that it shouldn't belong because people are gonna cheat, that's inevitable, right? That's inevitable. Like, might as well get rid of street leagues too, right? Might as well get rid of competitive events if you're scared of people gonna cheat in those. Like, it just doesn't make any sense.
Or kids being taken from their families to compete on an Olympic team, and I just hope that things like that don't start happening in skateboarding.
And okay, and then using the argument that you're gonna force your kids to compete in the sport. I mean, I got some news flash for you, but look at Nigel Houston. He started competing when he was a kid. And it was because his parents forced him to enter and compete for cash. That's why a lot of people don't like him for that reason. And I don't agree with that reason. Like, I don't agree with hating him for just only doing it for the money. But like, it's just kind of hypocritical saying it never happened when in fact it happens, right?
The next reason is that the Olympics is actually kind of corrupt.
Yes, I do agree with the Olympics being very corrupt. It's not kinda, it's very corrupt. Right? It's just as corrupt as FIFA, and it's true, right? It puts a lot of sports, it gives a lot of sports a bad name when everyone does cheat eventually. And like, look at Tour de France, look at cycling. Not a lot of people take it seriously anymore because of like its history of cheating. Even with baseball, not a lot of people are taking that seriously anymore because of cheating. But saying that skateboarding shouldn't be in the Olympics because of that is just a huge stretch, right? It's like skateboarding, like you said, we're going back to your original point. Not everyone cares about the Olympics.
Another reason is that putting skateboarding in the Olympics is kind of selling out skate culture.
Okay, you lost me there, dude. What do you mean? Explain selling out skate culture. Let's go back. So when do you think skateboarding was never sold out? When like companies like Adidas and Nike and Mountain Dew start sponsoring players? Oh no, let's go even further. When Rob Dyrdek got his own TV show? No, let's go back even further. When Tony Hawk got his own video game? No, let's go back even further. Let's go even more back. Even like those skaters getting sponsored by the surf store. That's selling out. Literally anything you do for money is selling out. Skateboarding has been sold out a long time ago. It doesn't make a difference if it's gonna be in the Olympics or not. Like, it's just saying, oh yeah, like we sold it. No, that's bullshit. You just want to keep it into this whole quote-unquote niche thing when you don't realize skateboarding is already huge. It's a huge sport. A lot of people know what it is.
The companies and sponsors that come into skating because of the Olympics don't care about skateboarding or the well-being of skateboarders. They just care about using it as a trendy way to market their products.
So like every other company, right? That's how it is. Oh no, but they take care of them pretty well. No, literally the reason why they sponsor players is to make them sell more product. It's not because, oh yeah, I want to look up. No, they literally do it just to sell products. That's how it works. That's how sponsorship works. They're using you as advertisement. Jesus Christ.
I also don't think the people watching it really care about skating either, but I feel like the only reason why they decided to add skateboarding in the first place is because they wanted something cool to get young people to watch.
Okay, what's wrong with that?
I know I've given a lot of reasons as to why skateboarding shouldn't be in the Olympics, but I also think there will likely be some good things to come out of it. More people are going to start skating, more skate parks are going to be built, and the limits of skateboarding in general are going to get pushed.
So you straight up just debunked the whole video right there. The positives are gonna outweigh the negatives. Yes. Literally, that's the reason why it's gonna be put. Oh my god, you just debunked your own video. Christ. Why did I make this video, right? I know some of the people who know me know that I'm into skateboarding. I used to be huge into skateboarding as a kid, and the reason why it was because of Tony Hawk. One of the problems I find about the skateboarding community is that they're a bunch of gatekeepers, right? I'm not saying that gatekeeping is bad to say, because having some level of gatekeeping is good for any community, because if some people take it too far, you can just kick them out and all that. I know a lot of people, the skateboarding community has a problem with posers and people who pretend to be skaters. And yeah, I can agree with that. You got to kick those people out because it just disrespects the entire culture, right? But this is just a different kind of level of gatekeeping. It's more or less oh, you don't like skateboarding how I like it, or you didn't discover it the way I did, well, you don't deserve to be skating. It's just stupid. They just get angry over the littlest things, right? They get mad over how people hold their skateboards. They get mad because people are wearing Thrasher t-shirts even though they don't skate. It's just, they get mad because there's people who have interest in it and they just don't skate. And it's it's just like metalheads, right? They only listen to one genre of music and they shit talk everything else, and then they wonder why no one listens to their music. It's just, gatekeeping like this is just, it's a horrible way to have people validate you. Like you mentioned before, it's all validation. Yeah, no one's gonna validate you if you're gonna be no, that's not how you do it, right? No, that's stupid. So to close this video off, right, don't send hate to the guy. I've only did this as a critical piece. This video has been poorly made. But what did I expect? It's just one of those, most skateboard videos are kind of like this. There are a few channels I do like that put in a lot of effort, and I gotta say this one isn't any of it. So I mean, my video is not gonna have that much effort either, but I mean, what do I say, just making this quick video because I didn't want to type a long ass essay. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you want to check out more of my content, go ahead. I'm still planning on releasing more videos. I have some videos working out, and hope you guys stay tuned for that. So peace out, guys.